All right, let's cut the crap. You're not here for just enough. You are here to be wealthy. The kind of that makes your ancestors proud and your haters choke. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to call it in? Are you ready to receive it? And are you ready to hold it? And you might be asking, but Edita, what the hell does that even mean? To call it in? And how can you do it? And that's what this episode today is about. And welcome to the new episode. My name is Edita, and this is From Grind to Grace, the podcast for the alternative entrepreneur, for the entrepreneur who is ready to flip the script and challenge the norms and make your way of growing business freedom. Freedom, when freedom is not a destination, when freedom is the path. Success just tags along for the ride. So the mission is to make this the new standard in the industry, the norm. Let's go, let's go, let's do it for yourself, for your children, and for humanity. And that's what I explore on this podcast. That's what I ask questions about. And that's what I talk about with my guests. And today I have a very special guest, the beautiful, the energetic, all the best things. Kiki Rae, welcome on my show. I'm so excited to have you here. I know we are gonna crush it with what we have to say, what you have to say. And I'm gonna ask you to give a quick intro, but before that, I was looking at your profile on Facebook and the photo on the banner, the bikini, and all the things. And then I went to Instagram and, all the glamour in a subtle way, which I absolutely love, all the vibe, dancing, yoga, meditation, fun, retreat, amazing places. So, are you actually running a business?
Oh my God, what a great intro. First of all, hearing you speak, that came from deep in your soul, and it made my hairs stand on end on my entire body. And I absolutely want to make money that make my haters choke. So thank you for that. I am gonna have to quote you on that. That was so good. I am also the woman who is of the mindset that the more fun I have, the more money I make. That is my motto, because when we are trying to hustle, when we are trying to grind, when we are working ourselves to the bone, I believe that we cut ourselves off from source, and we are unable to make sure we can make great money by hustling, but eventually we get to this cap where our bodies are like, could you chill the fuck out for a minute, please and thank you. I hope it's okay to swear. And can you please just like, that is not the truth of who we are. And so I truly want to make money fun again. That is a big motto that I have been playing with recently.
Love that tagline.
Yeah, is to just really enjoy the process, because we are our souls, we want to create. We don't want to just, hustle, and then at the end of the day, we're like, oh, I'm so glad that's over. It's like, can we nourish in what we have created? And yeah, like, yes, we may be tired, but we lay our head on our pillow at the end of the day and we go, I did that. That's a completely different energy.
I know, right? And what you said about let something along the lines, let's create to make money
Mhm.
versus the other way around. And that's actually you such a good match, you know, for this podcast, because I am saying we are here to create. We are not here to
Yes.
grind, and we
Yeah.
are here to build wealth. And wealth is
Yes.
okay to start with. Being wealthy is okay to start with, but we don't want to grind first,
No,
postpone everything else, and then
exactly.
maybe we'll get to the creation part eventually.
That just doesn't sound like a well-lived life to me personally. I've always been so, you touched a little bit on this freedom lifestyle that I live. And I tell people that I am 50% budget and 50% bougie. I live in a third world country. I live in Nicaragua, and I very much have gained this beautiful um, insight as to I really can live with so much less than what Western society tells me that I need in order to be happy, and to constantly be buying and consuming and trying to fill a void. And because I work so hard, right? And so at the end of the day, I want something that fills that emptiness, because many people do work that they don't enjoy. And so when I started my business, I actually ended up um, kind of like selling everything in 2020 and starting this nomad life. And it didn't last very long because of COVID. But I realized that I am so much more okay with living with less in order to have what I want now, rather than how so many people do it, where they say, oh, okay, 35 more years and then I can retire and then I can be happy. And I think personally, I've had a brush with death. I'm a cancer survivor. So that to me did not sound like a life well lived. And that has always been very important to me, of just, finding what works for me in order to feel happy now, in order to feel fulfilled now. And it looks very different than your traditional wealth, right? Because I live, the house that I'm sitting in here recording this, it's a concrete, four concrete walls, and I'm a 2-minute walk from the beach. I live in a very kind of humble, it's kind of like a luxury house for Nicaragua, but it's got the bare bones, and often I don't have internet, and the power goes out, or sometimes I don't have water. I wanted to wash my hair the other day and I didn't have water, and so this is why I'm sitting here with wet hair right now, because I jumped at the opportunity. Not everyone can live like that, but it provides me so much more freedom, and it provides me, an escape from the matrix, where I live a 2-minute walk from the beach, and it's just I can go and put my toes in the ocean every single
I
day.
know.
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
all your like photos are amazing. You know, I get jealous looking at them, you know. So just for the quick intro, for the
Yes.
context, what is your
Yes.
business? How are you creating that wealth?
So my name is Kiki. I am the founder of the Wildly Wealthy Woman brand, and my goal is to create not just financial literacy, but financial liberation amongst 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs. And I have worked with a gamut of women in my 7 years of running a business. I have not always done wealth embodiment work. That is my title, is that I am a wealth embodiment mentor. And my vision is really so much bigger than myself. It is to create women who are wildly wealthy. If I am just doing this and only I am seeing success, I'm not doing it right. because this is something that ripples outward. It is something that I don't want to just see you create. I want you to do this work, and I want you to become unchained, and I want you to become free so that you are the cycle breaker within your lineage, and you are the one who passes this information and this wisdom and truly a recoding within your nervous system into future generations to come, so that we stop living in a state of scarcity. We stop living from a space of lack. We stop saying, well, I'll be wealthy when, and we realize that it's actually this shift of, when I choose to be wealthy now, that's when the money shows up. And it's really such a mind fuck for a lot of people. But my goal is to teach you, because I declared myself as the wildly wealthy woman when I was only making $3,000 a month.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about it as well.
Yeah.
Why this is important and how it actually works. I absolutely love what you're doing. And, like you are the embodiment. Like,
Thank
when
you.
I look at your profile, I mean that this is it. Like, this is it. And I don't really I don't care about the numbers. It doesn't even matter,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Well,
Right?
because wealth means so many different things to so many people. And so you don't have to, if you just want enough, like, you can choose that wealth to you means matching your corporate salary in your business, right? Wealth can mean to you enough freedom so that you can buy an acreage and start growing your own food. Wealth can mean, for me, like, I'm 50-50 right now, budget and bougie, but eventually I would like to get to a little bit more of the bougie than the budget. But it's just, it's not that I have to, I show up for client calls in a bandana and a bikini most days, and some professional business coaches would tell you you'll never be successful doing that. But to me, that is what wealth and that is what freedom looks like.
I came from the professional
Mm-hmm.
marketing sales space.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of
I'm
know
here to
what
shake shit up, Edita.
so on one hand, I mean, I could have said, oh, I wish I could have I jumped straight into this other way of doing things, but you know what? Actually, I have so much expertise, and
Yeah,
on the other side as well, which
yeah.
actually is helping, so yeah. So tell me, was it always like this kind of
My,
way?
my journey has been so buck wild. I I was a recruiter and a social media manager for a college in northern Canada, in a place that literally translates in First Nations language to people of the snow. And I hated it, obviously. I am not meant for cold weather. And I started a network marketing company, or started as a distributor for a network
Yeah.
marketing company. And I started seeing all of these people living this like freedom lifestyle. And I've always been very anti-establishment. I am a double Gemini. I am like, you tell me to do something and I'm going to do the exact opposite just because you told me. I'm like, reverse psychology works really well on me. Tell me the opposite of what you want me to do and I'll do what you want me to do, right? So for me, that's who I am. And so I don't do well with authority. And I saw these people creating their own schedules and traveling the world, and world travel has always been very important to me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to find a way to start a business. And in the beginning, it was working for a network marketing company, thinking I would get to the top, because when I decide something, that's who I am. And then I kind of realized this fitness company I was with, I didn't like trying to motivate people to do fitness. I actually really loved their business side of things, where they were preaching personal development and mindset work. And as my journey unfolded, I learned about the subconscious mind, I learned about spirituality and energetics, And then I learned about the nervous system. And those three things combined sent me down this insane rabbit hole. I have 14 different certifications now. Like I am, yeah, when I don't feel in integrity trying to teach people something unless I
Same.
know it through and through. And so I'm one of those, like, I'm a really good coach with maybe not the strongest marketing skills, where you're seeing right now in the industry a lot of great marketers who are the, terrible coaches, right? And that's why I think so many people have gotten burned. And so I've always said, like, I'm okay with being a slow burn, but I got to this point where I launched a business of my own because I fell in love with personal development. And everyone was like, you'd make such a great life coach. So I said, okay, let me try it. My first year in business, I matched my corporate salary. My second year in business, I 2.7 times my income and hit six figures for the first time. And in my third year of business, I was tracking for multiple six figures and hit this insane upper limit. I didn't really know about the nervous system at that point. Hit this insane upper limit, sabotaged all of it, and went from like $20,000 months to $2,000 months within an 8-month period, and was just in this insane freeze state. And I stayed there for about 3 years. And so my income went from like that year was like 85K, and then it was like 42K, and I was like, oh my God, okay, 42K is not sustainable for me anymore. I've had this taste of a six-figure lifestyle. That ain't it. And it just hit me. I was like, okay, I was doing something over here that I'm no longer doing over here. Knowing that success leaves clues, let's figure it out. And I kind of, they're not tangible things. I had this delusional level of self-belief in myself when I started my business. I was showing up as the woman who already had the success she wanted. And I looked back at the woman that I was in 2020 to create this six-figure business. And so in August of 2023, drew my line in the sand. I said, this is exhausting. And I wanted to throw in the towel on my
And what did
business.
it look like?
Oh man. I mean, I moved back in with my mom. I went from financial freedom to $60,000 of debt. I had to go back and get a job 2 summers in a row because, like, I refused to give up this lifestyle because Canada in the winter sucks my soul. So I was semi-permanently living in Nicaragua for the winters. And then I would go back because I spent all of my money and I could barely like get by. And so I would go back and I would work. And then finally I had enough. I was, crying to my mom. I couldn't afford to, like, in 2020, I told her I was going to take her on this incredible trip. And I felt awful because I couldn't afford to take her on this trip anymore. And I'm really excited to say that in a couple months we're going. So it's like been this beautiful 360 or 180. And yeah, so I just decided, I said, this is exhausting. I was doing something that was working. I'm going to figure it out. And when I did, I went back to being the person that I was in 2020 and said, I'm just going to start showing up. I'm going to work on my energy. My energy was off. My limiting beliefs were all over the place. And so I really went inward, and I realized that wealth is not an external state. It is actually an internal state. I have felt wealthy before, so I can tap into that energy. And this is going to sound backwards to a lot of people, but I took money out of the equation. I said, if wealth is an energy, where can I begin to feel wealthy every single day and use that energy to compound so that it has no choice but to start to bring money in. And so,
So, yeah,
go
could
ahead.
you, amazing, amazing. Could
Sorry,
you
I could
share,
clearly talk about this forever.
no, that is very, very interesting. Also very relevant.
Hmm.
Also love your story. And also, thinking that so many people are gonna resonate with this,
I
you
hope so.
know. So, and could you shed some light on how exactly you stepped or what you were doing to step
Yeah,
into that energy?
yeah, absolutely. So the day that I made the decision, and this is, a lot of people are like, oh my God, don't tell me like I have to decide, but you have to
It's
decide.
funny, I'm actually reading as we talk. I'm reading a book called The Power of Decision.
You have to decide. It is, you can't be in the realm of scarcity and lack and struggling to pay bills and also be a wealthy person. Like those two things don't compute. And so, whatever has the stronger energetic tie or the belief system is going to win. And 9 times out of 10, it's the lack and the scarcity. So, I decided on a call with a mentor because I was done. I was just I'm going to go back to corporate. I'm going to give up on my business. I was fearing homelessness. I was like, I'm never going to get out of this.
Wow.
And so I wanted the thing that was going to provide me the safety. And on that call with my mentor, it saved my business because she asked me the most simple question. She goes, Kiki, what do you want? And without even thinking consciously, I threw my hands up in the air and I said, I just want to be wildly wealthy. And then I immediately heard what had come out of my mouth and like put my hands over my mouth and my eyes bugged out of my head. And I go, that wasn't me, right? Like that was something about, that was God, universe, my higher self, whatever you want to call it,
Mm,
speaking through me. And so she goes, great, what does that look like? And we got into this like envisioning of what it could be for me to be wildly wealthy. And then I realized I have been sitting on this gold mine this entire time because the thing that I have been denying myself, because then I was like, oh, I don't need to be a millionaire. Oh, I don't need to be, but meanwhile, I'm jealous of all of these people that are making all of this money and doing all of the things that they want to do with their lives. So in that moment, I decided, let's just play a game. I'm going to play a game for 90 days. If in 90 days nothing changes, I can go back to being this grumpy, burnt out, going to choose corporate and safety and whatever person. And within 3 days, things started to shift. So I started a new business. I started Wildly Wealthy Woman. I was making $3,000 a month. I decided I was practicing Kundalini. Kundalini has been the game changer in my business. And I started showing up not as the woman I was, but as the woman I wanted to be. And this is hard when you've always been the same person. But I had an anchor point because I had previously been a wealthy woman.
yes. You
So
had
I
the
went,
memory, yes.
I had the memory. So I tuned into the memory. Now, how do you do this if you don't have the memory?
Was
You
gonna
create,
ask that.
I saw it. You create a future memory. So the subconscious mind is so powerful and it will um, do, like, it does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So if you can continually anchor yourself into not just thinking about, but feeling about the woman that you desire to be. When I didn't have the proof of my first 6-figure year, I was creating a future memory. So I didn't have the evidence back then. So what I did was I sat and I visualized every single day what it would be like, what I would see, what I would hear, what I would feel. And it came true. Like that was the coolest thing of seeing that number in my PayPal account. That's what I was like envisioning, celebrating with my mom, breaking out some champagne and just having a party. And that's what I did. I had a dance party. And so I went back to that woman that I was because I did have that proof. So it was almost stronger evidence for my unconscious. And I was like, okay, who was I being? And I went back to doing those steps. So a lot of it was visualization, hypnosis, reprogramming myself to be a wildly wealthy woman. And Kundalini was like the
So
energetics
would you
piece.
say that this work, visualization and Kundalini and
Mhm.
reprogramming, was taking most of your time as opposed to your actual action?
I have a morning routine that I practice. It does not look the same every day, but I refuse some days, like if I'm working on a big project, I wake up and I just start working immediately because my brain is like still a channel universally. But on the days where I am not creating, let's say, a program or a masterclass, I will wake up every morning and I will journal first thing. I will write out. So it's like scripting. I write out who I'm becoming. Right now, I'm becoming the woman who's holding $50,000 months, who's having 100K launches. Like this is the season that I'm moving into. And I just think about, and it's not about doing more, it's about who do I have to be? What
Mhm.
support do I have to have? What contracts need to be in place? Like it's a totally different ball game now as opposed to when I was the 10K a month earner, right?
Yeah, such a cool conversation because yet again, you know the equation be do have. So in order to have the thing, you need
Yes.
to do the thing. In order to do the thing, you need to be that person. But what I found was that in our industry, the B piece is misunderstood
Yes.
very widely because it's still based on your behavior. It's still about taking massive action, pushing through the fear, pushing through resistance, kicking yourself in the butt no matter what, sacrificing, I don't know, self-care, whatever. It's still behavior. It's still how you actually do. It's the same as do piece for me.
But I will say that the B of that is that what you're saying is still everything that you just described is still misaligned energy. Yes, you have to take that action, and yes, you have to show up, and yes, you have to work through the fears. However, if you can first go inward and say, this is for the person who already has the things that she wants, this type of action is easy. I'll give you the perfect example because in May of 2023, I could barely put out 2 social media posts a week, because I was in such a freeze state in my nervous system. So then I brought in safety. I was doing breath work. I was doing Kundalini. I was doing all of these things and committing to just even like a 3 to 7 minute practice a day. It doesn't have to be this hour-long practice. Even just going for a walk every morning in silence and allowing your thoughts to kind of channel
Without
through.
listening to anything.
Yes.
Usually people,
Yes.
they go out, but then they don't really
For
engage with the
for me,
environment.
I love just like walking on the sand and letting, obviously it's really good for your body, but just what is in my brain, paying attention to the thoughts.
Mhm.
But that energy, then when I had that call with my mentor, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do for 90 days, right? Like not just about being that woman, but then the do piece.
Yes.
So I woke up every morning as the woman who we created. We almost like created an avatar for her. So this woman lives in San Diego. She's got a convertible. She drives down the Pacific Coast Highway every day, looks up the palm trees, sees the ocean. Like that is my ultimate wealthy woman. She's going
And
to a
that
gym
picture
class.
is
That
quite
was the
specific,
picture.
isn't it? It's quite
Yes.
specific.
So
As a,
that
Mhm.
picture I would tune into every morning. And if that woman already existed, the doing piece is a different energy
Yeah.
than the me who is in the right now 3D
Yeah.
moment, right? And so I just had to associate myself to that next level version. And from there, the action actually
Yeah.
became really
Yeah.
easy.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean, that the B piece is still doing, is still the doing, is still it's this confusion there. I was supposed to, maybe I will just sit on my couch in silence for 10 minutes and dial into myself and actually be, just be, nothing else, just
Yes, yes,
can be and
yes,
generate that frequency and then
yes.
go do your thing.
Yes, you must dial that in first. And
Yeah.
so there is a different energy. For example, my 90-day, and this is like, it's a fun challenge of I said, okay, well, you know, a couple months ago in May of 2023, I wasn't able to create these posts. But now I've cultivated this different frequency through breathwork and Kundalini within my body. And so I do that every day before going. And I decided that my 90-day activity would be to show up and post every single day on social media for 90 days, but not before doing the energy work
Right.
first. So, because there are two ways that you can go out and you can create content. You can sit there and say, I don't know what to post. Oh my God, I hate this. I hate having to be on social media. This sucks, but I know it's the only way I'm going to get clients. Blah, blah, blah. That whole story. Or you can say, I wonder what's going to happen when I sit for 10 minutes and I just calm my mind and set the intention that maybe some idea will come through in my meditation. And from there, I'm going to visualize the person that I desire to be, who is already wildly wealthy. And that energy is going to cultivate something completely different. Even if you still don't really know what to post, the energy behind it will be different when it goes out posted. Make sense?
Yes, and also the ease
Yes.
that you feel, instead
Yeah.
of pushing, instead of editing forever,
Yes.
potentially then deleting it completely.
And what was wild was that as I did this more and more, there would be some days where 5 posts would come through. I'm like, great, there's my content for the week.
And somebody would say, don't do that. The algorithm doesn't like that. It's too much. Your posts are competing with each other.
No, but I would have like 5 ideas come through and I would write them all out and then I would post them once a day, but I wouldn't need to worry about,
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly. But also, screw the algorithm. I don't know.
Yes.
If I
Yes.
get an idea and I want to say something now, I say it, as opposed
Yes.
to, you know what? Okay, so I just posted something, 10 minutes ago. Now I have another idea. I can't wait to post it, but you know what? Let me wait for 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Because the energy is different behind it. You're not as excited about it anymore.
Or let's say, most of the market is in the US, but I'm in Europe, so I need to wait for that time, so that more. Screw it. No,
Screw it.
not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
always set the intention that it's going to find who it's meant to find.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So the other important question is the word that starts with W and it's wealth. So why wealth?
Why
Why
wealth?
in the world are you talking about it?
because it is something that is so misunderstood. And yes, I talk about money, but wealth to me goes so far beyond money. And this is what I really want. It's like the missing ingredient. This is what people need to understand, is that they can be wealthy right now. And it has nothing to do with money. And actually, the wealthier that you feel, the more money you'll end up attracting. And so if you can find a way today, and then tomorrow, and then the day after that, to feel into the gratitude for the wealth that you already have. And sometimes that's as simple as running water in your home. Because let me tell you, there are
Exactly.
days when I don't have running water and I don't feel so wealthy. But in the Western world, running water is just something that we take for granted, right? And so many people think because they're so accustomed to the luxuries that they have, that they don't consider it a luxury.
You know, when I was born, we lived in a house in Lithuania where there was no water coming through the taps. We had to get it from the well,
Yeah.
somewhere communal well, not even our private well.
Yep.
I
Yep.
still remember that. It was,
Exactly.
but
We have devices, we have electricity, we have food, right? All of these things that if you have all of those, you're doing better than 80% of the population. That's
yeah.
crazy. Yet we have become so entitled to these things that we don't consider them to be
Mm.
wealth. But let's take it a step further than something that tangible. Do you have really wonderful friendships? Do you have a job that you love? Do you have a community of sacred sisterhood, or, um, you know, like a loving relationship? That is wealth. And when you can express your gratitude and your appreciation for wealth in this one area, you
Mm.
can easily do the process of energetic transference, which is what I teach inside my methodology, of being able to take that from that area and place it into finances.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, very cool. So I also I love the idea of, wealth being not just money. Absolutely. And but the other thing is there is nothing wrong with money, right?
No,
So
there is not.
let's talk to someone who has dreams about being wealthy in material kind of way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But is affected by some sort of resistance and
Totally.
this,
Well, society does that,
yeah.
right? Society tells you that you wanting, well, first of all, it flashes in front of your eyes of the private jets and the designer handbags and the, cars and homes and all of that. But then you feel guilty for wanting it, or you feel jealous because you think that you could never attain it.
Mm,
And so there is this is intentionally done, where specifically to women, how many times do you hear, my favorite example of this is avocado toast. Oh, just cut back on your lattes and your avocado toast. When in actual, like, in order to keep more money, right?
yeah, yeah.
Millennials are broke and they're the highest in debt and blah, blah, blah. Do you ever hear financial gurus telling men to stop spending money on video games? Do you ever hear them to, like, stop going out to concerts or sporting events? Don't buy your season tickets this year, right? It's never geared towards men, and
Mhm.
always. So men are taught to invest, they're taught to expand their wealth. Women are taught to
So
save, they are
true.
taught to penny pinch. And this is, if you look historically, women have only been able to own their own credit card for 50 years. It's
Until
wild.
recently,
Very
couldn't use
recently.
their own bank account without a
Correct.
the
Without
husband.
a man to co-sign. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so the thing is that societally, I don't know if that's a word, but in society, women and men are conditioned very differently. And what's beautiful about this is understanding when we reprogram ourselves that statistically, women are the superior sex. Sorry if there's any men listening, but we are statistically graduating from high school and post-secondary at higher rates. We are statistically better with our money. We can make, without a glass ceiling, we are actually able to make more because we nurture within our jobs. There's so many statistics that prove that women are actually better handlers of money as well once we are empowered by it. And so this is the secret, is that we are taught to not be empowered by it.
It's so interesting, you know, when I was in Morocco, it was quite surprising for me to hear about, there's this original society that lived and still is there in Morocco, and they are called Berbers. And
Yes,
apparently, right, women are the ones responsible for family's budget, are the
yes.
ones are the ones negotiating and haggling. And I remember, and haggling probably maybe, it's in my blood. Well, it's in my blood. I'm a haggler, all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was thriving there, haggling with everyone, and they kept making the comment, are you Berber? You know.
I love that.
Oh, it's
I love
funny.
that.
Yes, there are still places, or well, still in this case, in the world where women are actually handling that. And when you think about it, like if you go back to cavemen, right?
Mhm.
That makes so much sense
It
because
does.
men would be out
The hunters.
hunting, doing things.
Yep.
Women would be at home, you
Yep.
know?
And women too, they would be the information sharers. They would be the ones
Right?
communicating and keeping score is maybe not the right word, but keeping track, what berries are poisonous, what berries aren't poisonous. They are the information. Like, gossip is an age-old thing. It's just become so misconstrued within our society today. Women are meant to talk. Women are meant to gather and convene. And so the big thing with finances specifically, and what you were saying, it is it has been taught specifically for the spiritual woman that she should be giving her gifts, when in actuality, the spiritual woman needs to be highly paid for her gifts, because when the spiritual woman is empowered by money, she does incredible things with it. And so, yes, you can treat yourself and you can buy the bag and do the thing and whatever, but she's also going to be making sure that her community is taken care of. And that is the gift. Men have had their time. They have proven that the whole power and greedy and whatever, that actually doesn't apply to, I would say, most women. Is that, and of course, most men in this scenario, but this idea that you are, if you are rich, you are evil, you are greedy, you are power hungry, that mainly applies to men. When we see women with wealth, they become free. They take care of their families. They set themselves up for legacy wealth, for generational success. They are the cycle breakers financially. And so this is a really powerful thing, is that not only is it your birthright, it is something that you should be striving for.
Yeah, and money is such a funny concept, right? It's man-made to start with. It doesn't exist. Somebody at some point had their very first thing, probably not even paper, that they called money, you know, let's agree
Like
this
gold
thing
coin.
has that value, and instead of me giving you blueberries and you giving me potato, and oh, I don't have blueberries today, so I can't get potato,
Yeah,
you know. But also, then nobody ever said you have too many blueberries.
right,
Don't get too many blueberries. Nobody
right.
has ever said that.
And this is actually the really beautiful thing of how we can start to, because money is highly emotional. Money is highly emotional because it's linked to our survival. But when we can start to see it from an energetic standpoint and take a little bit of its power away, that at the end of the day, money, the physical expression of it, is simply coin, paper, polymer. We look at it and we realize that the only value that it has is what we collectively, unconsciously agreed upon to give it. And so we can start to realize that the actual energy of the paper is not what gives it value. And so we can start to untangle
Exactly.
our attachment to it and realize that it's actually an energy. And so it's the energy that responds to the energy. It's the energy of us that responds to the energy of money, and vice versa. You can bend time and bend money to work in your favor when you internally go inward. The idea of this mirror concept. If you don't like the reflection looking back at you, let's say you're 30 pounds overweight, you don't get mad at the reflection in the mirror. You don't try to change what's looking back at you in the mirror. It's you. You have to change first. And so if you want to be wealthier, it's not about doing more or finding a better job. You'd be amazed at the multitude of ways that money can land unexpectedly in your lap. Inheritance, an unexpected check in the mail, a government rebate, like there's an infinite amount of ways. And so we have to first change our energy, our relationship, and our understanding. And that's my goal, is to help you unlearn everything that you've been taught about money.
Yeah, it was amazing for me to once discover the energy side of things, of everything:
Yeah,
money,
yeah,
books, music,
all of it.
or marketing, the way you sell, your posts, your
Mm.
offers something that
Yeah,
is not even doesn't have any physical representation, still
correct.
has the freaking energy.
Everything is energy. Everything is energy.
And which is why then, and also, I look at things from the perspective of marketing and selling, which is why, in order to be able, for example, sell high ticket premium, that's why you need to generate that frequency in you to be able to do that.
Well,
You know,
if you don't believe, I could say, my one-to-one coaching is $10,000 a month, but I don't believe in that. I don't, that's not who I am. Yet, maybe one day. But right now, I can't get energetically in alignment with that, because my sense of self-worth would not feel like there would be enough of an energetic exchange of value to charge that based on just where I'm at. And so if that is the perfect example of misalignment. I
mm,
could say I'm going to charge $1 million a month. But if I
mm.
don't have that matching energy behind it, then it's not going to sell, or people are going to call me
Yeah,
crazy.
this is very interesting. I work on with this stuff a little bit.
Mhm.
I've coached people with 10, 20, 30, even seven-figure offers.
Yeah.
And wow, having said that, there are patterns on same pattern on every level. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy to see
Yeah.
that. Crazy to see
Of
that.
course.
But also what you said is such a common, like, what you are selling sometimes, and I've been talking about raising your prices quite a bit lately. And one other goal to raise your prices is to match the energy of people you want to attract. So it's not to
Yes.
actually raise your prices, it's
Right.
actually to jump to a different category altogether.
Yes. Yes.
You
And when you're doing that, you are attracting the people in who see the value of your work. If you're priced too low, you can
exactly,
get a ton of headaches because you've got
exactly.
people. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with there is some mark below which you will attract people who are looking for cheap stuff. They are moaners. And that, but that price is gonna be look too small for these other people
Right. Right.
who go all in on things. So
Yes.
they're not gonna get attracted either.
I've
You
had so many people in the past couple months because of this work that I've been consistently doing on my energy, on my frequency. I have never in my, I'm going into my 7th year this year. I have never had so many people just say, here's my card, pay in full, like 10, $14,000 offers just in a heartbeat, like, here, take my money. Like, this is fun.
yes. And because this is fun, that's why it works.
Of course. Of course. I'm not doing it because I'm happy to put them on a payment plan. But when they say, yeah, I'm just going to do the whole thing now, I'm like, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. So let's say somebody is still in the grips of the grind, and that's basically who I want to reach the
Yeah.
most,
Hmm.
following my own experience, the way I used to do things, the way like the story, my story, your story, everybody has a similar story. It's crazy, it's mind-blowing.
I know.
Right. So let's say it's somebody who is in that place still, and she is like, she's sensing, she knows something is wrong. So she's beating herself up. Probably
Hmm.
she's feeling guilty. She knows something is off. She knows she is in deep shit.
Yep.
But this pattern keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, and she doesn't know how to get out of it. What could you say to that?
My biggest thing is that you have to change who you are at the identity level. If you are going to the gym every single day, right? Let's go back to that 30 pounds overweight, and you are looking in the mirror, you're not happy with who you are, and you are going to the gym, but you don't consider yourself to be a healthy person. Maybe you're going to the gym once or twice a week, and maybe you eat a little bit better every, other day. The person who doesn't identify as a healthy human is going to have a lot harder of a time to go to the gym consistently and to eat healthy and to do all of the things and to hydrate their bodies and, take care of themselves than the person who has already changed their self concept to say, because I am healthy, that means that I go to the gym. It's naturally who I am. I go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I'm walking 10,000 steps a day. I'm doing all of these things because that's who I am internally.
Mhm.
And how do you get there? You shift the energy first. So my biggest thing is like I call it in my methodology, the frequency first approach. You
Mhm.
must change the energy in order to bring in the self concept. Because if you just try to say, this is why affirmations don't work. It's like if you say, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, but your unconscious mind is like bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Guilty.
Yeah. But you've then shift the frequency and you start getting embodied. Now, maybe you're not going to go from $100,000 to $1 million overnight, but you start saying, oh, okay, what's that next stretch? What feels like a push, right? Like from a $10,000 month to, I was getting, like, December of 24 was a $27,000 month. I'm like, okay, now let's anchor in these consistent 30 to 50K months. And from 50K, it's going to be a lot easier to get into 100K, which is that $1 million status, right? So it comes sequentially. It's not going to come overnight, but you have to be so committed to the frequency, to the embodiment, and then the identity of it.
So I say freedom first. You say frequency first. Same thing. Beautiful.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Oh my God. I love this conversation so much, but I'm looking at the time, right?
Yes.
So by the way, before even that, so I was gonna ask you, so what can she start doing like today to shift
My
day?
my biggest thing was practicing Kundalini. That I actually have. I will gift your audience a free video that will give them, this is the Kriya that was the thing that shifted everything for me. It is my gift to all of you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, because this was the thing that changed who I was. And it
Wow.
made it, because of the energy, it made it easier to get that self-belief and get that identity piece in. So I would say Kundalini, start there. Then from there, the hypnosis is a really powerful way to reprogram your identity without you even needing to do any work. You can literally listen to it while you sleep. It's a
Amazing.
godsend.
Love it. Thank you so much. So on which note, and I know you touched on it, but still, if you want to add something, who do you work with? How do you help them, and where can they find you?
Yes. So the women that I specifically work with are usually women in business, spiritual women in business. A lot of the work that I do is very woo-woo to many, but there is science all behind it. And then I am open, obviously, if you are someone who is a career woman who is just wanting to learn more about shifting the way that your frequency works, so that maybe an opportunity comes, a job raise, a brand new career, who knows? I don't solely just work with entrepreneurs. So that's first and foremost. My goal right now, my offering right now is I am about to launch on Monday, so just in a couple days, my Legacy Wealth program. This is going to be a year-long journey, right? We have spent our entire lives learning how to think poorly, feel poorly, and behave poorly with money. So now we are going to go on this journey to unlearn everything that we've been taught and reprogram it, rewire it into our bodies and our minds. And then you can find me at Wildly Wealthy Woman on Instagram. That's my favorite place to play.
Very cool, very cool. I'm gonna put everything in the show notes. Thanks for sharing. So just to end this episode, I ask every guest three blitz questions. Very quick,
Okay,
very easy. So the
love
first
it.
one is, when you hear from grind to grace, what goes through your mind?
Just like heaviness and weight and resistance into this elevation and this open, free, ease-filled life.
Amazing. Love it. Love it. That's the definition, really.
Yeah,
Um, the second question is, what change would you like to see in the world?
I want to see money in the hands of good women.
Right.
That we didn't really touch on it. I will do it really quickly. I have seen so many women give their, it just makes me so emotional. I've seen so many women give their power away to men and who have not had choice and opportunity and have stayed stuck and unhappy because money has been the barrier for them to leave and to do something different. And so when this work is so meaningful to me because I've seen it time and time again, and it is women becoming financially free. That is what I want to see in this world.
Yeah, it's beautiful and it made me emotional as well. And, financial autonomy for women is part of my my deep desires as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's
So,
do it, girl.
and so the last one is probably related, but it's what impact would you personally like to create?
I want there to be like this movement. I have this vision of one day standing on a stage with a room full of women telling me that my work has completely changed their lives. That is the impact. I want people to say, not only because I chose to do this work, I'm free, but now my daughter is free. And that like ripple is going to change the world. And so that is the vision.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and wisdom and energy,
Thank you so
for
much for having me.
filling my show with beautiful frequency.
I love it. It's an honor to be here.
Um, yeah, really appreciate you. And for the listener, thanks for listening. I would ask you to follow and share if you find this useful, but we'll see about those calls to action. Anyway, why would you not share it if you
Why
liked
not?
it? You know? Either way, thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.